Well, can being disliked bring you true happiness? There is some research that says being disliked is proof that you are exercising your freedom. The old saying is you have enemies, good. That means you stood up for something. And recently, a book titled The Courage to Be Disliked by two Japanese authors trended on social media, and they say the key to happiness lays in the courage to being disliked. For more on this, we're joined by a friend of the show, the life coach, Gayatri Murakan. Thank you very much for joining us again on TSP.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be back.
Is this a common theory that many psychologists and life coaches have been talking about, that we need to have courage to be able to stand up in a room and express our opinions, even if it may not be the most popular opinion in the room?
I agree. I think it's really important to be true to your values and stick to your ethics. And once you feel completely comfortable in your strengths, can you stand up and portray yourself in a positive manner? So self-acceptance and just being comfortable with who you are might not always be something that everybody around you is happy with. But if you stand up for what you own and what you feel is right, it just gives you more happiness for sure.
Yeah, because coming from an Australian male culture, we always have something we talk about. You have to own it. So if you're someone who's always late, and then they like to call you, you have the nickname of Watch because you're always late somewhere. You clearly don't have a watch. We always say you have to own that. And have the confidence of your convictions. Otherwise, people are still going to make fun of you and criticise you. Yeah, but it's so hard, depending on your environment or your circumstances upon which you've grown up. It's not the easiest thing to practice to be able to express an unpopular opinion.
I agree. I mean, imagine having to always go with what people around you said so that you are liked. That's typical people-pleasing behavior. You're not able to stand up for yourself. You just go with the flow. So you end up not being happy because you're not being true to yourself, to your desires, your passions, and your needs.
Yeah, but it's also a case, I guess, of if you're constantly, just going with the flow and not speaking up, you do end up resenting those people around you.
Yes, you do, because you're not happy inside. You're trying to make other people around you happy, but in turn, you feel really upset and fearful, and there's a lot of resentment that keeps building up. And at one point, you're just going to burst and lash out at people around you.
Yeah.
So it's really important to be true to yourself.
Yeah,
express that in a polite manner.
Yeah, well, but I think that's also the key aspect of it is that, we've all been involved in situations where we think someone's okay, and the next minute they have an outburst, and you go, "What was wrong with that person?" And we don't realise that they've actually been bottling up these situations. They've become toxic in their minds. So, I guess you need to find, those lessons in having the confidence. What tips do you have for someone who is in a situation where they're constantly a people pleaser, but they actually need to speak up about something they're not happy with?
Well, if you're a constant people pleaser, then you know for a fact that you're not happy inside. So the first thing is just self-acceptance, just being comfortable with who you are, understanding what your worth is, and remembering that you don't need external validation. And once you're truly secure in yourself, once you know what your values are and what values are willing to uphold, then express the same. What you need to do is express the same, communicate effectively with people around you why you feel the way you do, so that they understand your perspective also. Do not back down, do not shy down, because your happiness is important to you and you are worth it.
Yeah, and I think that's a great lesson, is being able to speak up and explain why, or explain why you're unhappy or why you feel frustrated, because really that's half the battle, isn't it? Being able to just have someone else maybe understand where you're coming from. I mean, I can speak openly. I work for a predominantly South Indian radio station. I get really frustrated when 80% of the conversations are going on and they're in another language I don't understand. and I find that frustrating. But sometimes I also find that can often be quite isolating too.
True. So then it's important to just pause the conversation. Hey guys, I don't understand what you're saying. I would love to be part of the conversation. So you're just bringing the attention back to you. It's important to express it. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of resentment building up, which I'm sure you also face and you understand.
Yeah, but also I have a problem, Gayatri, that I don't speak English. I speak Australian, which can I've got to be able to find common ground to meet in the middle somewhere. So you got to understand where everyone else is coming from. When someone is looking for those tips on the power of self acceptance, how important is it to sit down and maybe try and not go too deep, but try and recognize in your past what prior experiences and other situations that you've been through that might lead you to be behaving in this certain way?
Well, if you grew up in a family that had conflict or in a family where you weren't praised a lot, there's a good chance that you still seek that level of acceptance by people around you. And that is why you tend to change your behavior and attitude so that people around you accept you. That's how the people-pleasing attitude slowly builds inside you. So if that has been your childhood and that has been your past, it is important to really look back at why you are the way you are. And once you understand, understanding is always power, then you can look at techniques that you can use to reframe those experiences that you've had so that you feel much more confident in yourself. Because once you feel confident in your skin, then sky is the limit.
Yeah, it is. And it's something that I've witnessed being around a lot of sporting stars. The way confidence just affects their performance on the field, and that's something that can be measured. But the same concept affects us in our day-to-day, just simply walking in the room. It sounds like such a simple concept, but it really is true. The way you perceive yourself is the way the universe perceives you.
Yes, absolutely. What you perceive about yourself is how the world receives you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So, don't be worried if you're being disliked. Sometimes standing up for what you believe or having a different opinion, even if it's something as a drink or a certain food, having the confidence to own it could be a true key to finding happiness. Gayatri Murukhan, we appreciate your time as always. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Peter. It was lovely talking to you again.
It's always good to chat to you. So have you ever found that? Sometimes we can be a bit shy, particularly around new people. If we're starting a new job or we're joining a new social set, you might not want to be open about certain things. It could be politics, or it could be anything at all, taste in music or film. But how have you managed to overcome that? Because having that confidence to go against the tide could be the key to true happiness.